hospitals and doctors are looking for ways to improve health outcomes by restricting on their budgets. And this is where McKesson Company comes in, an automation solution company that provides optimal solutions with highly integrated technology that caters to pharmacy and hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, bonjour. We're from Thammasat University, and we're here to present to you the strategies for the McKesson in the Hospital Automation Solution Division. On my far right, I have Srirat, Sirida, Shavisa, and me, Ravipon. With our 5-year growth strategy, it will not only benefit the company, but also its existing stakeholders, in which McKesson Company will experience a double-digit growth of 5% to 14%, and it will reduce the overall patient wait time up to 14 hours, and overall cost saving for the government around Canadian dollars, 1,886 million Canadian dollars per year. And in order to achieve this, McKesson must seek the most lucrative growth opportunities. Looking further into the McKesson Company, the Hospital Automation Solution currently serve 3 main product lines, and which all these cater to patient safety, quality, and cost effectiveness. As the hospitals are getting more aware about the increasing demand of delivering the right medicine at the right time, there's an opportunity for HAS to further grow. And now, taking a look at the Canadian healthcare spending, 70% of the overall healthcare system are publicly funded. And the numbers are expected to grow by further around 2.1%. And which is why the government are asking us and wanting more solutions in order to cut their costs. Which is why we present to you with these 2 analyses in mind, we're going to present our 3 exciting growth opportunities for McKesson with our XXX strategy: extend, expand, and examine, and in which my colleague will present to you our first strategy, extend.
Thank you. So first strategy of extend, we're going to be penetrating into the liquid drugs packaging segment. Now we call this strategy a low-hanging fruit strategy, and we'll see why in a minute. So as my colleague has mentioned before, hospitals are becoming more and more aware of treatment errors. And one of the top 3 most common areas for these treatment errors is medication. Hospitals pay for 2 to 5.6 billion Canadian dollars per year to fix these adverse drug events. And furthermore, 1 out of 9 patients are potentially given the wrong medication. Now, hospitals are fixing this through automated solutions. As you can see in this graph, the adoption rate of automated machines in hospitals in Canada have been increasing every year. And currently, over 60% of hospitals use these technology. So this is a great opportunity for our company as there's more potential to expand. Now, in order to exploit these opportunities, we looked at the 5 different types of medications that are administered in hospitals. There are solid oral medication, injections, liquid oral medication, inhalants, and cream. Now, out of all these 5 medications, we see that these 2, solid oral medication and injections, are the most commonly used medications, but also have the highest safety concerns. Looking at our position within this medication segment, we see that we have a strong position already in the solid oral medication. However, within the injection, there's a huge opportunity with the fact that no other Canadian companies right now are capturing this market, but we have the opportunity to do so. So, with our implication is that McKesson must penetrate into the liquid medication by leveraging on our existing resource. Now, the existing resource that we're talking about is our suppliers, as Asset has just recently produced a technology that offers IV solutions. They have 3 main products: IV Soft, IV Station Onco, and IV Station. Now, we see the most potential in IV Station, which is the most versatile product, as the other 2 product, IV Soft, focuses only on software, and the IV Station Onco only focuses on oncology patients. So the IV Station is the most versatile and the most marketable technology as of currently. Now, in order to penetrate into Canada, as this is a new market that we need to quickly capture, we need to prioritize the way we penetrate this country. So in order to do this, we have ranked the different provinces based on 4 main criteria: drug expenditure per capita, number of hospitals within these provinces, company presence within these provinces, and finally, the number of population. And from our analysis, we have divided these provinces into 3 main tiers. Quebec, Ontario, and Alberta is Tier 1. British Columbia, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, Tier 2. And finally, Newfoundland and Labrador, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan is Tier 3. And we will be entering these 3, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, respectively. Now, our approach is going to be based on our presence. So the companies that we already know and are already serving, we're going to be leveraging on the current relationship with the government. However, in order to penetrate into new companies, we're going to be leveraging on our 2 core competencies, which is product quality and also after-sales services. So now that we have captured the easiest to reach opportunity, Safe will now elaborate on other opportunities in the medication segment.
Thank you. In looking at the healthcare industry, we see that the increasing aging baby boomer is a lucrative opportunity for the company. Our second strategy, Expand, will show you exactly how to do. In looking at the healthcare spending in Canada by age, we see that up to 45% of the government healthcare expenditure is spent on ages 65 and above, which is the baby boomer. And the future is going to be the same as the population is aging. So this implies that the government healthcare expenditure will continue to increase. And looking closer into the baby boomer healthcare needs, we see that 74 to 90% of these seniors are faced with more than one chronic disease, and 15% of these hospital beds are occupied by frail seniors who are suffering from these chronic diseases, and they actually do not need to be in these hospitals. So these needs actually incur additional costs for the government. For example, the acute care amounts to up to 1,654 Canadian dollars per person per day, while long-term care and home health care are significantly cheaper. So if the government can find a way to move these patients from acute care into long-term care and home health care, they will be able to save a tremendous amount of money. Although there are opportunities within the home health care, this is outside of HAS's scope, and therefore they will be operating in a different business model outside of their expertise. So what this means is that McKesson has to capture opportunities in the long-term healthcare facilities. In order to do so, we look at the components of long-term care facilities, and we see that the opportunity lies in the medication administration. So we will be offering these products to these long-term care facilities, PACMed, which is our high-speed oral solid medication packaging, and along with ConnectRx, which is the medication management software. And why these 2 products? Basically, these 2 products are our simplest product offering that clearly matches the basic needs of these long-term care facilities. They do not need a sophisticated machine, just like hospitals. These 2 are complementary products in that both PACMed and ConnectRx would be able to automate unique doses and customized packaging for each patient, thereby automating the medication management to optimize the operation and enhancing patient safety as well. And in order to be successful, they have to design the right strategy of who to target and how to approach them. So in targeting these facilities, we are looking at facilities with more than 50 beds, as this is the minimum amount of bed for one machine. These facilities would be catered more towards the senior patients as well as publicly funded facilities. So an example of this facility is the Ontario Long-Term Care Facility, which is a private and municipal long-term care operator that provides service to more than 70,000 seniors annually. In order to approach them, we will sell directly to these long-term care facilities using a sales team, and we will leverage on Relay Health to provide a smooth transition from the hospitals to these facilities, as when patients are moved and transferred from the hospitals to these facilities would be provided with a patient profile, their prescription, as well as the treatment procedure. And after the sales, we will also provide a sales service and maintenance, which is mainly our key differentiating point from our competitors. By selling into these long-term care facilities, McKesson will be creating value for all parties. For the patients, they will obviously receive a better care in the long-term facilities, and they will be provided with a smoother transition into the long-term care facilities. As for the long-term care institution, they will face with higher operation efficiency and also improved patient safety. As for the government, they will be able to save a tremendous amount of cost, and this is done by when we have introduced these, when we have improved their operational efficiency in the long-term care institution. This will then allow for patients to recover much faster, thereby moving into the home care quicker. This would then create an effect, a domino effect, on reducing the hospital waiting time as well as reducing the block beds. And lastly, for our company, we will receive a financial impact. We will be able to capture the baby boomer as well as establish new relationship with the institution for future opportunities. Next, my colleague will take you through other opportunities outside of HAS.
Thank you. After the first two recommendations has tapped into the opportunity about medication, however, we see that the capability of HAS unit has the capability to tap to opportunity beyond that. So now, let me walk you through our third strategy of examining. In order for us to understand our position of Canadian healthcare service, we need to not only understand ourselves, but also comparing ourselves to other countries as well. As you can see from the chart above, this chart indicates the healthcare service ranking between Canada and other countries. And it's pretty, and the higher number indicates the higher rank, therefore the poorer performance. And it is pretty obvious that in Canada, the timeliness of care ranked the worst among all. Therefore, this is an urgent issue that we should tap into consideration. And in order to solve this problem, we need to first understand what are the root causes of this. So let's first take a look at the whole value chain of the healthcare in Canada, starting from the patient will go to the primary care, then acute care, long-term care, and lastly, home care. And it is obvious that the bottleneck lies into the acute care department. As you can see that on average, around 14 hours that the patient has to spend on their waiting time. And what are the root cause of this is that first, there are two main root causes. The first one would be the primary care. Around 15% out of the total Canadian population has no family doctors. What does it mean by this is that they actually need to skip the primary care directly and go directly to the acute care. Then the second root cause is that 15% of hospitals in long-term care are occupied by bed blocking. And therefore, this place is supposed to be the place that flows people out of acute care, but now we cannot move them to long-term care. However, this strategy, this root cause has already tapped by our second strategy of expand. Therefore, my focus of this recommendation will tap to only one root cause of the improving acute care efficiency. And if we're looking a little bit deeper in acute care process, we can see that not 100% of total acute care patient that needs to go along the flow to the long-term care. Up to 90% of total patient in this acute care actually ends up discharged, meaning that they don't really need a long-term care. But what does it mean by this is that McKesson must tap into this opportunity by improving the efficiency in diagnostic unit in acute care department. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you McKay. This is an interactive virtual doctors that can perform a function of remote presence of doctors. We can actually talk, patient can actually talk to the doctors directly, just like they're sitting in the hospital room. As well as this has a linkage to the breathing-related health, which is our current database system that we implement throughout the hospital and physician stores. Also, this can perform a function of normal administration of barcode and also printing their receipt and their result of their performance. And lastly, and most importantly, basic diagnostic tests. This also can do a function of temperature check, pulse rate measurement, and also blood pressure. And how does this work is that once the patient goes into the hospital, they can go through the registration process just like the traditional way. However, in the next step, they can choose to, instead of going to wait for the line for 40 hours, they can now use our system that locate to the very next, up to the registration desk. And this, after they go to this registration desk, they can now scan their barcode, and then this will pop out the patient profile to both doctors and also themselves. And lastly, our doctors will now connect to the patient through their iPads. And it's pretty obvious that the most effective way is to reduce the waiting line from 14 hours to only 30 minutes. For the implementation plan of doing this, we will leverage on our development manufacturing by outsourcing to iRobot manufacturer. We will leverage on their RP Vita system, which is the current virtual doctor's robot that currently exists and has been approved by FDA already and has been penetrated into more than 200 units of hospitals around US. And however, we'd like to add on the features to make it more tailored to our needs. First, we would like to add on the connection to the database system of health, Relay Health of our database system, as well as adding a barcode scanning, printing, temperature check, and blood pressure. And lastly, for selling and distribution, we'll still leverage our current connection to hospital and local governments and sales through them to sales pitching. And all in all, this recommendation will benefit to not only the patient or Canadian to reduce the wait time, but also benefits to the hospital itself by improving the efficiency in using the resources, both nurses as well as the facilities of hospital. And next, my colleague will come up to you to present how we prioritize our triple X strategy as well as the financial justification.
Let's take a look at how we prioritize our timeline and our implementation. Firstly, the contract negotiation for the first strategy will take place in the second quarter of 2015, followed by entering the first tier and second tier by 2015 mid-year onwards. The second strategy of expand of the contract negotiation with the health institution will take place in the third quarter, and in which we prioritize our health institution of entering each country by first tier, second tier, and third tier by following procedures starting from 2016. With the last recommendation of examine, firstly we'll start with cooperating with the suppliers by the mid of 2015, followed by deal pitching process with the iRobot, and installation procedure followed by 2016 onwards. And now, our forecasted revenue for the HAS segment of division of the McKesson will have a CAGR of 5% up to 14%. And a forecasted net income of CAGR will have 5% up to 12% CAGR. And overall cost estimation will be comprised of cost of sales and other miscellaneous costs, summing up to 201 million Canadian dollars, which will be financed by an internally generated fund, short-term borrowing and long-term borrowing. And overall, these will have an impact overall by our three strategies, but we'll be able to penetrate into liquid drugs, overall government cost reduction, and up to 14 hours reduction waiting time. With our 5-year strategy, and now, we'll be able to allow HAS to ignite their growth potential and allow McKesson to leverage on its motto by empowering healthcare and empowering all its leveraged existing resources, and will be now one of the leading hospital automation solution in the world. Thank you for your attention. We're now open for Q&A.
I guess I can.
Go
Sorry,
Jason.
So as I understand it, you're going to be looking into this new product offering the automated acute care services iRobot. That's an existing company? iRobot?
Yes.
So are you looking at a partnership, acquisition of that operation? How would you go about maybe getting into that space?
Okay, so in terms of iRobot, they're an established company that are producing robots existing. They are currently located in US. We're looking for outsourcing, just not really a partnership, but normal, just like our normal operation that we just a reseller. But what we can play into this role more than what we have ever done is that we can suggest them on producing what we actually want, such as the features that I mentioned, They have already done part of them, but not all of them. So we would like to suggest them to produce more just for us.
I guess in relation to that, so with this suggestion, I guess the actual doctor visit is shortened, right? In that sense, so because we have a shortage of doctors already, so the solution is not, okay, well, we can't bring in more doctors, so it's just the idea of shortening the actual visit itself.
Yeah, I would like to clarify more on that. The root cause of long waiting line is not only about many people with limited resource of doctors, but also the facilities itself as well. Some hospitals, they do have leftover doctors, but they have no rooms or facilities to actually get the doctors to communicate with the patients. Therefore, what our iRobot can do is actually reduce the facility usage by just like putting this machine in front of the registration desk.
To elaborate onto that, we see the customers being divided into two main types, the ones that are not admitted and the ones that are actually admitted. Now, they actually go through the same line to get the same physical initial the assessment. So by using this technology, we'll cut that process so that the people who don't actually need to be waiting for the ED can get their can have their health check right away and leave.
Just a quick point of clarification. When interacting with the machine, where are the doctors, who are the doctors that they're interacting with?
Okay, so the doctors will be the doctor in either that hospital or the hospital nearby. So we can pull out the whole doctors and then use this as a resource pool and then connect them who has an idle capacity, just like introduce them to, connect them to our machine.
I like the fact that you've categorized your suggestion between extend, expanding, examine. I have a question. In the expand bucket, you've qualified home health care as out of scope, and in the examine, in the last bucket, you've went into the innovation with iRobot. So basically, my question is, why have you categorized home health care as being out of scope for this compared to the robot?
So as I mentioned, this is out of scope because you will be operating in a different business model, basically selling directly to consumers. And with our strategy of examine, we will sell directly to the hospital, so it would still be selling to the government.
Okay, thanks.
So just to clarify again on the iRobot, you say it's been approved by the FDA.
Yes.
In terms of time to market, is that 2020 that you're expecting it to go to market? Or are you in a pilot project? I mean, what's the readiness factor?
We expect after all the procedures be done, after contacting the iRobot, we expect to launch around by the beginning of 2017. Since the product has already been approved, we believe that there won't be any further regulation problems in the Canada.
I would say that this is a little bit further into our timeline is because we have to develop the added-on features, and that is basically the time that would, be extended further. Exactly, the development.
Yes.
So that product has been approved by the FDA in the States, not in Canada though?
Yeah, I would say that in terms of FDA, it is the certificate that has been approved in United States, but it's actually applicable to many countries around the world, such as for us, like we came from Thailand, we also get the FDA as well.
In your first slide talks about doubling the growth and saving the cost savings of, we're talking about $2 million a year. Is that what we're saying? We're talking about $2 billion. Yeah, for the government. Yeah. Can you show us how you calculated the growth?
Okay. firstly, how we've calculated is that amongst the Canadian population of 35 million, around 15.7% of the overall Canadian population are 65 years and above. And also we are able, according to my extensive research, we found out that we're able to capture around 30%. And the difference between moving from acute care to long-term care is the difference of $859 per day. So we calculated by the difference in population of the overall that we're able to capture, multiplied with the cost savings of us, which we are able to allow the government to reduce by this amount.
Just kind of extending that a little bit, if I understand correctly, you're wanting to remove the 15% of the bed blockers in the acute care
Yeah.
facilities to long-term care. I'm thinking though that long-term care facilities right now are pretty full. So is it really a question of just being able to optimize healthcare delivery in long-term care that's going to free up space, that's going to allow the people to go from the hospitals to the long-term care facilities? Or will it also require some growth just in available long-term care beds?
I totally understand your concern, but we believe that this is an uncontrollable factor that is outside of our capability to solve. But we see that by providing with this strategy, we will basically direct the government's attention to invest further into the long-term care facilities. And we believe that by enhancing the operational efficiency within these long-term care facilities, we believe that patients will recover faster. They will then move into the home health care and thereby freeing up space in the long-term health care, right? So we will be able, so patients from the hospitals would be able to transfer to the long-term facilities and reduce all the bed blocking as well as the hospital waiting time.
Okay, and just one other question. You talked about targeting long-term care facilities that have 50 beds or more. Did you do any market assessment to see what percentage of the long-term care market those facilities with 50 beds or more represent? Because I think intuitively, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of the long-term care facilities are actually below that. But did you look into that at all?
So an example of the long-term care facility that we would look into is
You referenced one from Ontario. Right?
yes, Ontario. So this one has more than 70,000 seniors annually. So this would mean that they would probably have 70,000 beds provided within these long-term care facilities.
The reason why we chose to look for facilities that have over 50 beds is the fact that our technology serves hospitals where there are a large number of patients. And we believe that facilities that have a lower amount of patients may not be able to afford or need our solutions at all. So that is why we'll be targeting.
Thank you, Thammasat University.
Thank you.